So what this is really the law is evolving to the reality of what it is to be a citizen in New York in 2022.
If you want to carry a concealed weapon in New York State, you'll now have to pass a social media check. But how will law enforcers determine whether someone has the proper character and conduct to carry? That is still not clear. As News 10 NBC investigative reporter Jennifer Lukey shows us tonight, while lawmakers passed the requirement during a special session just before the 4th of July, the legislation wasn't exactly ripe with details. Jen?
Well, Brett, just to make sure we're clear here, the requirement is for people who are applying for their first permit to carry a concealed weapon. It is not the standard pistol permit, and it's not for those who already have active concealed permits. Nonetheless, there is a lot of debate about whether this new requirement is constitutional and how exactly it'll be executed. There's no question that some of the recent mass shooters have signaled their intentions to carry out killings on social media. And that's one of the main reasons why the state legislature added a social media review to the concealed pistol permitting process.
This is not meant to become a big state government, looking down and evaluating people's political beliefs or anything like that. This is about safety. This is about making sure that if you are taking that next step beyond just a pistol permit, and looking for a concealed weapon permit, that we are evaluating your ability to be safe.
I'm sure you've heard from your colleagues on the right that this is an intrusion of free speech.
Yeah.
How do you combat that argument?
I think there's a couple of things. One, we're talking about a very dangerous firearm here. And so everything needs to be on the table when it comes to evaluating public safety and how to keep our communities safe. Like it or not, social media is here. It's a big part of our lives.
Senator Cooney's Republican opponent in November, former Gates Police Chief Jim Van Bretero, says the new requirement is more about show than substance.
Look, we were already doing background checks on pistol permits, and a good background check would include checking somebody's social media that is out there set in the public venue.
But beyond that,
requiring somebody to give up their passwords and do something like that, I just think it's going to go too far. And then where does it end? I mean, you got text messages next. You want to see my phone records or any other means of communication that we have.
Before the new bill here in New York that became law, there really wasn't a standard.
Adam Scott Want is a public policy professor at the John Jay College of Criminal Justice.
Is this going to make people give passwords over or somehow friend someone so they can see what they share sort of privately with their friends?
Part of the problem with this bill is the wording is very vague. I think that the vagueness of the bill will cause different jurisdictions to enforce it in different ways, which will cause lawsuits to go through both the state and the federal system to try to figure out, one, what the legislature intended, and two, whether or not this action is constitutional.
And then there's this.
The sheriffs across the state have expressed some concern about how to train their pistol permit units on what to look for and how to determine what they think is threatening versus what is free speech. How do you see that guidance forming from the state to those sheriffs on how to do that?
Two things. One, there definitely needs to be some standard guidelines or training that gets taken place.
Now, the Monroe County Sheriff's Office tells me for the last year or so, it has been reviewing public social media accounts of those looking to get a concealed carry permit. And that's what it intends to keep doing for now, the public posts. Adam Scott Want says the state should be pressuring the social media companies themselves to have better algorithms to help identify threatening behavior and bring it to the attention of law enforcement sooner. Now, we know there were a lot of other changes and requirements in this legislation for current concealed permit holders. I've got an interview scheduled with the county clerk later this week. She's hoping to have more guidance and firm information from the state by then as far as the newly required training courses and a lot of the other questions we're getting. So we will stay on this topic and we'll have updates for you as the state sort of firms up some of the legislation into law. Brett.
All right, Jen, thank you.